All right, yeah, I guess I'm doing the intro. My name is Rivers Johansson. I'm joined by Callum, whose show it really is. I'm just guest spotting. And today we have, a horror savant, co-host of Break the Apocalypse podcast, and the reigning defending champion of fantasy booking in wrestling, in my opinion. Bisha O'Brien, welcome. How you doing?
Wow, how can I live up to that? That's the introduction of all
the thing is, like,
where's the lie?
I love your fantasy booking, but it pisses me off because I know that wrestling's never going to be as good as what you say. So I'm kind of glad you stopped tweeting about it at the moment, because I'm like, oh, that's amazing. And then I get sad because I'm like, they'll never do that. They're never going to do that.
You're ruining wrestling for everybody, Brian.
Yeah, Brian.
It's your
fault.
How
dare I? How dare I put what people think are good ideas out there?
You and your highfalutin ideas. God damn it.
My bad.
I don't know. So how's it going?
I
can't complain, man.
Yeah.
Unless you're asking Callum because it's your guys' show, so I'm sorry.
I'm barely here, dude. If we were talking about horror, it's you guys. I'm just here to press the record button and stop the recording. So don't worry about me.
No, I just kind of wondered whereabouts in America do you live, Brian?
I live in Ohio. I live about an hour south of Detroit.
Right. Okay.
So to give you a general idea, I am about 4 hours east of Chicago. I'm 2 hours west of Cleveland. I'm an hour south of Detroit. So.
Oh, we know U.S. states. If we're from the U.K., we know most of our geography from wrestling entrances. So I know every state in America based on wrestling entrances. St. Louis, that's Missouri.
And when you grow up on American television and American films and a lot of American culture, like comic books, wrestling and stuff like that, you kind of My geography for America is eerily good, actually, more so than I know in England.
Better than the UK.
Really.
I can name
it's kind of weird. It's kind of strange.
2 counties in the UK: Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, Lancashire. But I can name every state in America.
That's insane. Wow, I didn't.
Yeah.
Anything that exists outside of Yorkshire, I don't care about because you're Yorkshire born and bred. So I'm just like, it's like the Shire in Lord of the Rings, man. It's just lovely and green and nice, and So it's where all the hobbits live. So how's you said you got out for the weekend for your birthday? Is everything kind of open up again there then? Or,
depends on where you go. Everything's restricted. So just to give you an idea, we went north of Detroit to there's this weird place called Frankenmuth. It's called Little Bavaria. And it's a little town, almost like a village, where everything is done on the main drag, like German style, so architecture and things like that. And we stayed at a hotel, which is the Bavarian Inn. So the food is German, the decor is German, it's all German themed, but it's very small, it's out of the way, and only locals really know about it. So it's not like going to Kings Island or going to a hotel in Chicago or New York for the weekend. It's pretty much out of the way. So awesome. We figured that was the safest thing we could do with the kids, and everything was cool until last night, and then a bunch of weirdos started showing up, and we were like, yeah, it's a good thing we're going tonight or tomorrow. So
what kind of weirdos? You mean the kind of weirdos you'd get in a horror movie, or?
No, actually, I kind of wish. This was more like people who don't obey social distancing and masking orders. No, just weird, just your normal people that you see when you're out traveling, they're wearing the chin diaper mask, or they don't have their nose down, and they seem to be breathing heaviest out of their nose, which that doesn't make sense to me. But no, I'm joking. For the most part, it was cool, and like I said, my kids haven't gone anywhere in a year, so it was funny to see them try to behave in a restaurant because they haven't been in a restaurant in a year.
I don't feel like any of us know how to act in public anymore. I can't remember how to socialize or speak to people normally.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a challenge for everybody when the world opens up.
Yeah, it's weird because obviously things are still locked down here, pubs and things aren't open and stuff like that. So it's I think when we first get to the pub again, whenever that may be, I think we're probably just going to wind up being like those teenagers that talk to each other through the phones because we haven't quite figured out,
or
how to slip back into
it'll get to 10 o'clock and we'll go home because we're used to just being at home now, and that's how we do everything. No, it's going to be
so you guys are still completely shut down.
Yeah,
completely shut down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing's open. There's the shops and the pharmacy.
Yeah. We're talking about maybe getting back to normal June time. So, knock on wood, that'll kind of that'll pan out. So
with us being a smaller country, we can vaccinate the entire country quicker. So it'll take America longer, I imagine. But with the UK, really it'll be a test for the bigger countries like America to see how we do. Once we're fully vaccinated, will kind of be like the test for how things are back to normal. You know, like if there's any more strains of the disease, we'll know about it first, I imagine, because if anyone gets it here when we're all fully vaccinated, we know that's something to worry about. If everything's okay here, then we know it's going to be okay everywhere else. So hopefully we'll be back to normal by June, and you guys won't be much longer. So
yeah, I didn't even think of that. That's a really good test case because the smaller population stuff can kind of be studied more quickly.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, population of England, I think, is like 55 mil. If the UK in its entirety is about 65 million. So we're and I think it's about 300 or something, isn't it? 300 mil in America. So yeah, we're quite small in comparison. So
yeah,
you can fit England into Florida. Like all of England fits into Florida. You know, so it's we're small.
I don't think you guys would all want to like be in Florida.
I always want to be in Florida. I've been 3 times, and it's one of the best places I've ever been.
Well, did you go to like coastal, like nice?
I went to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Orlando, and Kissimmee. Is it? Yeah. So I guess there were quite touristy places.
yes. That's the difference. It's like it's Disneyland and mouse ears or meth, and it depends on where you're at.
Yeah. So I wanted to see a bit of both, really, to get the extremes.
I didn't see a full American experience.
Yeah.
You can get a good amount of the American experience, except for like snow and colder weather, in Florida. It's kind of interesting. It's like a big mixing melting pot of the good and bad of our country.
It's a hell of a place, isn't it, Florida? Yeah. Like I've heard it explained a few ways where Florida is like the asshole of America. And I'm like, I don't understand that, because every time I've been, it seemed awesome. It's like the happiest place in the world. It's good weather. But I don't know if that's just because I'm a tourist and I'm thinking, oh, wow, it's nice weather. You know, it's better than the UK. So it's going to seem good to me. But I imagine if you're an American, you might have a different view.
Yeah, it really depends on where you're at. And I think that's the misnomer, is like my wife all the time. She's only been to those touristy places with me. Only a few. I think Disney's the only place in Florida actually she's been. And she'll say, oh, man, this is great. I'd move down here. And I'm like, not quite. Not quite. That's enough shitting on Florida. There's a lot of good people in Florida.
Exactly.
So I don't want to give that impression.
I
live in Ohio. We're like the heroin capital of the country. So
really?
I can't really talk.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. We worked really hard at it. It was quite an accomplishment.
You know, if you just follow your dreams, you can get there. You know, so that's good. That's a hell of an achievement. You know, so yeah. So I don't know. Brian. Here's a question I asked John last time he was on. How do we fix Drew McIntyre?
How do you fix Drew McIntyre?
Yeah. What's going on? Because I love him, but there's something just not happening. On the level of like Roman Reigns, like when you look at what they're doing with Roman Reigns and what they're doing with Drew McIntyre, it's like, you know, it's night and day. So
I don't know, because I think people like Drew for different reasons that I dislike him. So I don't know if there's a disconnect here, but like I've always felt, and maybe this is because he came up in I don't want to mince my words here. Let me see. The style that he wrestles to me does not match him physically. Like to see him flying around the ring like guys half his size, and it's not just that I'm picking on him. This is like Rhea Ripley does it. They're even kind of starting to do it with what's the girl Gonzalez in NXT. It's like everyone wrestles that style where they're like the shuffle step back and forth, and we're dancing around and we're scooting around. It's like slow down and just beat the shit out of people. I mean, he can look mean. I'm not a fan of his promos necessarily, but then again, Roman's got a mouthpiece and he's doing just fine. So I think you can do certain things like if you augment his style a little bit, which I know is his charm with some people because they like that style. But like if you slow down, if you wrestled like more his size and with more ferocity, or like I don't know. To me, I think that's a disconnect with me, and I know other people may like him for that. So it may not be how to fix him, but just the way I see it. And then second, what they kind of dieseled him, just like they did Roman Reigns, where like he was coming out and he was kicking ass and he was taking names, and all of a sudden, like the old "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" thing they did with Diesel, where he's this big badass, he's just running through people like a 16-wheeler. Then he comes out and he's like, "I love my fans." It's like, wait a minute, that's not the same guy.
Yeah, he completely changed his personality. One thing I like is when a wrestler turns face or heel, they don't change who they are. It's just the fans who see them differently. Like, they haven't had to change anything about themselves. With Drew, he literally changed everything about himself to match the fans. And it always seems a bit phony to me.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rivers. I just wanted to...
I was just saying, he could have, like Steve Austin was always the rattlesnake, so that Drew McIntyre could have stayed as the Scottish psychopath, just headbutting people and have a more ground and pound kind of style to his matches, I think. And that would have been absolutely fine. Just put him up against heels, and he can still be like a serious, edgy, badass babyface, but just put him against heels. And don't have him kind of cutting promos, thanking the fans, and kind of like, you guys, and just he got a bit kind of a little bit John Cena-y, I guess. They always do this with the top baby faces, though. They kind of turn him into a milquetoast kind of promo cutting,
his
bland,
I think that's one thing I love about Roman Reigns right now. I know I was saying earlier I hate it when wrestlers change completely, but it worked with Roman, right? We can all agree Roman's the best he's ever been in WWE. Like, since the Shield, this Roman is money. And we've always said, like, if he turned heel, he's going to be great. The thing about Roman is he doesn't need Paul Heyman to do the promos. Paul Heyman's just an added bonus to this package right now. Like, Roman's promos are actually, to me, better than Heyman's promos is doing for him. I love that, like, sociopathic, crazy Roman Reigns we've got. He's fine. But with Drew, when he's doing his promos, you can tell it's still just some lines he's been given. Like, it's not really Drew. Yeah. It's not what Drew would be saying. And they always have to get, like, that cheesy line in at the end. Like, he's got to hit this one line at the end. And it kind of takes you out of it. And it's like, since he's lost the championship, I've already seen people start saying, oh, I bet they give it back to Drew. I don't want him to give it back to Drew. When this time last year, everyone was begging for Drew to win the championship for the first time. So what's happened in that year? How have they managed to make him now undesirable in the main event?
Yeah, I think exactly what you said, though. I mean, that's why, is that he's saying and doing things now to endear him to the audience, which to me is going to do the opposite, because it's phony and it's contrived and it's too heavy-handed. Like, when he came out at the Rumble, people knew that when he came out to face Brock, after Brock had been shredding through everybody, people knew, okay, here's a big dude. He probably can go toe-to-toe with Brock. And then when he knocked him out, it was just this visceral, guttural yes, because it's a guy that looks like he could face off with Brock, who does face off with Brock. Yep. Okay, now where do we go from here? And then the next night, it was like the Claymore kick. 1, 2, 3 in the corner. And it's like, ugh, just... it's cornball stuff. And I don't know if that all comes from Vince, or if that's just like, I have this weird belief that WWE has like a color-coded file system, and when they see a guy who looks a certain way or is a certain size, they kind of break out the file, and here's this template of, okay, this is what we need to do with him the next year. And it's right. Like a one-side.
We've got the 6'4" monster with long hair. He's foreign. Yep, okay, foreign. Yep, there we go. Right, cheesy catchphrase. Yeah, got it. Give him a weapon. He needs a weapon.
Where is he from? He's from Scotland. Braveheart's from Scotland. Give him a sword.
Evil foreigner, right? Here's my proof. Evil foreigner. So I'm not saying Drew McIntyre is an evil foreigner or anyone else I mentioned, but foreigner. They gave Drew McIntyre the Claymore sword, right? Apollo Crews turns heel. What's the first thing they do him? They gave him a fucking axe or something on SmackDown, right? The spear. That's it. What is in their prop warehouse where they're just like, right, get him a spear.
Hold on. They've given Apollo Crews a spear.
Yes.
Isn't that a little bit on the nose?
Yes. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. And they gave him two armed guards.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was out of town, so I heard people say that he was doing like a Wakanda thing, and I'm like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then I pull up the picture, and he's carrying a spear. I'm like, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, right. I love the character. I think it works for him. It's made him interesting, and I think he can do a good job of it. I don't think he needed the spear, and I don't think he needs the armed guards. I can't see that ending well. Well, I'm happy to wait and see how it goes, I guess.
They're giving him, as long as he doesn't wind up with a dish in his lip and a bone in his nose.
Yeah.
I think
right.
they've
Chasing a chicken down to ringside with a spear would be the absolute end of everything.
Yeah,
cancel
absolutely.
WWE.
Cancel.
That would be the one time where I might even get behind a cancel culture thing. Like, if
Yeah,
they did that, I'd be like,
I would be on that hashtag straight away. I'd be canceling Vince McMahon.
And I hate cancel culture, but that might turn me. So yeah, but we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. Jeez, I don't know.
Well done,
yeah. Anyway, I think we've probably hit rock bottom now talking about that. So like, we can.
I don't know. The night's still young, man.
Yeah, I suppose we can.
But, and like I think they could even do fun stuff with that. Or you mentioned Roman, right? The thing they could do easily with Roman, because as you mentioned, they didn't really like he's gone heel, but they could easily, when Brock wants to come back with the work they've done with Roman, if Brock and Roman have a falling, or if Heyman and Roman have a falling out, and Brock comes in and lays him out, they could so easily just flip the scenario around, and now Roman's a babyface, and now he's got the Usos, and now it's just a matter of circumstances, and as long as the fans can buy it or understand, I don't know, maybe he went crazy, and maybe he doesn't have to explain himself, but maybe you have some other babyface, like on these Talking Smack shows, people like, what about Roman Reigns? Why, he was a bad guy, he was doing these things. Have someone say, if you came out here every week and put your ass on the line for these people and they treated you the way that people treated him, wouldn't you act like that too and go a little crazy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
With everything he's been through, with the cancer, with his kids, like that dude's been through a lot, and that's how he still stayed here. He didn't go to Hollywood like Rock. He didn't go do a shitty IPA like Austin. Like, he's here. And he's staying here. This dude looks like Jason Momoa. You don't think he could go get a movie, like a Marvel movie or some shit?
Yeah, he doesn't need
Yeah. He doesn't. I bet he'll be in movies in the next few years, though. By the time he hits 40, I'm sure he'll be doing some kind of Marvel movie or something. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. To your point of don't change too much. I mean, that right there is a perfect example. He doesn't have to do things too terrible, like a dastardly hero, twirling the mustache, mwahaha. But like, it's circumstances that are making this character a heel or a babyface, and they can just as easily justify which way he's going to go. And I don't know, man. I just think they try too hard sometimes with certain dudes, and like you said, it's too on the nose, and people sniff it out. People have seen way too much. Wrestling's been mainstream for way too long, and I think they're just going to have to get more creative with stuff. The same stuff's not going to continue to work for everybody like it used to.
I'll tell you one thing, right? So, if, like you said, when Lesnar comes back, so let's say we end up having babyface Lesnar versus heel Roman Reigns, right? In this scenario where it's this crazy Roman Reigns versus a babyface Brock Lesnar. I personally would be hyped for that match. Would you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Go back to WrestleMania 34. That was the worst possible main event for WrestleMania 34. I was there and I fell asleep at the end. And I don't remember the end of it. But now fast forward, and we're actually excited for that match now. To me, Vince McMahon's a fucking genius. He's made us somehow excited for Lesnar versus Reigns, the rematch. I don't know how he's done it, but now with the circumstances changed, I'd be really hyped for that match.
Yeah, same.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Rivers.
No, Brian, go. No, I was just agreeing.
Well, it's casting. Or think of it, in terms of football. It's putting the right people in the right positions. Mm-hmm. People a couple years ago, were calling for Damian Sandow to be WWE champion. Now, look, the dude's talented and he's funny, but there's a certain type of person you put in that role to carry the company, to have this universal appeal. I don't care what people say. You're not going to have 6 or 7 top guys to carry the company. There's always some sort of pecking order. It's the way it's unfortunately going to continue to be for the most part on a mainstream basis. You don't have 7 Super Bowl champions. It's just not. It's not that way. Or what's the Premier League?
The Premier League,
yeah. Football.
You're asking the 2 West guys.
We know fuck all about soccer.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to know my audience. Yeah. But like, you don't have 7 top guys or 7 top teams or whatever the case may be. You generally build to 1, and you have some other ancillary characters, and that's great because you can have a Daniel Bryan in a top position without necessarily him having to be the top guy, because he doesn't have the same appeal that a dead sexy, ripped, shredded Roman Reigns with long, there's something to that Samson type thing with the long hair and the beard and the virile looking, top star. He looks like a warrior. Daniel Bryan doesn't have the same appeal, but he can still be a very viable part on the player on the card. So if you take the right guys and put them in the right positions, again, circumstances, that's all it is. Hogan and Savage going back to 89, one of my favorite angles of all time. Savage, people forgot for a while that he used to push Elizabeth around and slap her around on screen. He was not nice to her, but he became a babyface. And Hogan used to do he's seen the light, brother. He's going to be, walk the line. And, oh, yeah, I can see Elizabeth. She's leading me down the path. He's not going to do that. But then the first chance he got, he scapegoated her and started slapping her around again. And, of course, people just went along for the ride. So, again, circumstances. And I think that's part of the genius is when they can step back and just take their hands off, let it breathe. Because then now what you've got is a traditional wrestling angle. You've built up this unstoppable heel that everyone wants to see take down a peg because he's an asshole. He's enjoyable to watch. And then guess what happens when it seems like no one can beat him? He's gone through everybody else. Then Brock comes out and you hear the music and then it's, oh, shit. Because they've built Brock up to be that before. So now and before you didn't have that. It was Brock was that guy and they were heavy-handed just force-feeding Roman. And people were like, nah, I don't see it yet. Now you're in a situation where you see it because both characters have marinated and have been built to that point. So now it makes sense. So to your point, yeah, I'd be really excited for a Brock babyface run. There's still a lot of people who would complain that he's a part-timer, but I don't know, man. I think if they do that right, it can work in the right situation.
Wrestling fans will complain regardless. And one thing I think people are going to complain about regardless is switching to AEW. Revolution tonight. I think it's going to be a great show, top to bottom. There's a surprise announcement. There's someone's joining the roster. We don't know who it is.
Barry Horowitz.
Barry Horowitz. It's got to be Barry Horowitz.
Barry's back.
God bless.
Not to cut you off, but you know what? You have the Barry Horowitz thing. I remember when I was a kid, I don't know, I was probably 10, 11, when they did the angle with Barry Horowitz and Skip from the Body Donnas.
Yeah.
And now
greatest angle of all time.
It was awesome. I
I
didn't know that they were doing it to kind of rib Skip because, he was not really respected that well by the WWF. But when I was a kid, I was so excited for Barry Horowitz because here's this dude who never gets a win. It was awesome.
We did actually get the chance to tell him that very recently on the phone. And he spoke to me for 2 hours about wanting to get a performance center coaching deal. And he told me he's better than Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and anyone else who works at the performance center. So
he is.
If anyone's listening from WWE for whatever reason, sign Barry, give him a contract. He needs the deal. He's got a lot to give. He does. Yeah.
Who they need more preliminary guys to make guys look good. Who better to teach than a guy like Barry Horowitz?
Right.
He was around for a long time.
That's what he said actually. He didn't say who's better to teach people how to job, but he said who's better to teach people how to enhance your opponent.
There you go.
Barry always looked like he could win. He just always came up a little bit short. He was still good in the ring. He just always came up short. He didn't look like a jerk. And I think that's the difference.
I liked when he buffed himself up a little bit too. When he went to WCW and he wore the black tights, like the Austin style tights, and he cut his hair shorter, and he was he hulked up a little bit, and
he looked like Jewish Rick Martel. He was looking good.
Yeah, exactly that. But he put Goldberg over big time. Nobody's put Goldberg over like Barry Horowitz, but how he took the spear and everything, the jackhammer, beautifully sold.
Are we going with Barry tonight then for the surprise reveal? Is that what it is? I was just going to ask you guys who you think it's going to be, because whoever it is, the internet wrestling community is going to complain. Who it is.
I imagine it's going to be something that's people are expecting, like a CM Punk or something like that. But I think it's going to be a much lesser star, I guess. So Brian's probably fantasy booked this to an amazing level, and and if you have, please let us know. What do you think?
I haven't. I've been, like I said, I had a really busy week, and then I left town on Friday. We recorded our show on Wednesday night, So I was kind of out of commission. I've heard a rumor of who people think it is based on just kind of stuff that's been put out online, and I'm not really that excited about it based on
Who have
his
you
last
heard?
run. I've heard Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, Kurt posted a very like on the nose video saying, "I'm not done yet. Time to come back this Sunday." So I think it's just a red herring. You know, it's
yeah.
Kurt
I
trying
hope
to.
so.
Yeah,
I hope so. I love
can't
Kurt
see it
Angle.
being
He was
Kurt.
one of my favorites when I was, in my teens, and I just thought he was one of those dudes that, other than personal issues and substance abuse, could have been I think he was one of the greatest of all time, but he'll forever be forgotten by a large part of the audience because he wasn't there and did a lot of his best work in TNA and Impact. But yeah, I don't know. With the bar that they set, I really don't know, other than Big Show coming, like Paul White, I'm sorry. Other than him coming out and healing on it and saying, I was the guy, I'm the Hall of Famer, I'm this, I'm that, like setting himself up.
I think
I think
possible. It's possible.
it's kind of lame, but although it'd be interesting to see them get a bunch of bigger guys in there to try. Like, is he going to take a Canadian Destroyer from the Young Bucks?
No.
I hope not.
Imagine. I'd love to see it now you've mentioned it.
I would love to see Big Show give those guys the Canadian Destroyer.
Yeah. I don't know. Who do you guys think it's going to be? Because the way they set it up, if it's not Angle or Big Show, I really don't know because I don't think Punk's coming back.
I think it's Christian.
Oh.
I think it's Christian, and he's not currently under contract to WWE. And as of last week, he is cleared to return, I believe, to in-ring action. So he's cleared to return. He's got no contract, and he came back at the Rumble and looked like $1 million. He looks great. So I personally think and hope it'll be Christian. I'd rather it be him over CM Punk because I've always said I want CM Punk to come back, but only if he's motivated and in the right headspace. I don't think he ever will be for wrestling again. I think he's done with it. And if he came back, it would just be for money. And I wouldn't want him to just be driven by the money. I'd want him to want to be there. Because you'd be able to tell if he didn't want to be there. I'd rather it be someone who needs the spot or deserves it. And I think Christian does. So bring him back for one last run in AEW.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've not really thought about it much because I haven't been following a lot of TNA. Excuse me, a lot of AEW recently. I don't know, kick pads and flips and stuff. I don't know these goddamn people. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be Joey Ryan, and he'll be like this generation's Andy Kaufman with the whole.
I'm cutting that out the interview.
Oh Jesus! I don't know. Do we want? You mentioned Rock Bottom.
Yeah, we just crashed. Rivers. Well done.
I was just segueing talking about that piece of shit because
I was putting some white noise there.
Yeah, I was listening to your show earlier from Wednesday that you recorded, and you obviously you kind of deep dive into it, and I can't believe the nerve of that guy, really. Like suing. I was unaware that he was suing the people that filed the charges against him.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
he really is.
And obviously I don't have any firsthand knowledge of this. I have some third-party knowledge. Like I know people who've done business with him, and it's really dangerous to like form judgments based on that because you never know how people are, right? Until they've done business with you or interacted with you.
Yeah.
But I never got good vibes from that dude.
No.
Like, and I know there's like some ironic haha appeal to like, oh hey, I'll flip you with my dick, haha. Like it's like a frat boy, sophomore kind of comedy. But like the longer it went on and the stuff that he would do, like going after people, it never seemed like a good vibe. And then, so I don't want to go too deep on that because we did on Wednesday.
I think we all know the situation, what's been said, what's been discussed. It's not good stuff. I personally would be happy never mentioning the guy again on the show. He's not someone who deserves any kind of attention.
I just hope all of his counter suing claims go out of the window, and he kind of gets what's coming, really.
Yeah, screw that guy.
Yeah, I hope so. And that's why we put up. And if I know about more people that have GoFundMe's to defend against him, we'll share the links. But we pull up. Pele Primo was a wrestler who I think was a trainee of Ring of Honor back in like 2004. He was a preliminary wrestler on a lot of their shows, some of them that I went to back in the day. And he's put up a GoFundMe because he's being sued and needs help with the legal bills. So we put the link up. Not that we've done a little bit of help for like the animal shelters and shit, but whatever help we can give, because it's just a really bad situation overall.
Absolutely,
man.
yeah. You do what you can. That's admirable, and it's good to know that a lot of people who have put up GoFundMes have reached a goal. There's Mariah May, for example, in the UK. It's a very similar situation. She had to raise, I believe it's £20,000, which is about $30,000.
Right.
And she reached a goal to
Very good.
for the legal cases. So fantastic. Yeah, it's good that the wrestling community can do good when they come together. Great to see that.
Yeah, because it's been bleak for a little while. Like the speaking out thing came out, and then they used to say don't meet your heroes. I always say don't tweet your heroes, because social media.
I'm stealing that.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
It's just good advice.
It's great
It's like
advice.
social media has really pulled the curtain back on a lot of people and on the industry. And I hate to say things like, I almost tweeted earlier something about the wrestling business can be scummy. It can be. There's a lot of good people that are in it, and some people that I've met. So I don't want to throw everyone out with these people that do cause issues, but it is really good, like you said, when you see people come together and help people out. So yeah, I'm down with that too.
I think we're going to see a much more kind of connected future in wrestling. Like, people are going to be much more, working hard together to make sure this kind of shit doesn't happen again. So
I hope so. I really hope so.
I think, I think in my heart that the only positives are going to come from all this horrendous behavior. So
I hope so.
It has to.
Before we start wrapping up, Brian, there's a question I wanted to ask you. You mentioned going to see shows when you were younger and stuff on the indies. What indies did you watch throughout the years? What was the best indie you watched?
Ring of Honor, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because, and again, I'm not as well versed as a lot of people. Even with my horror movies, I tend to be fairly mainstream. So I grew up on WWE. I loved WCW and actually kind of converted to them for a while during the 90s. So I would just take in all the wrestling I could get. So then I started going to Ring of Honor shows in the mid 2000s, and Gargano's group that he used to wrestle for, which was, Cleveland All Pro, and then it was Pro Wrestling Ohio, and then something else. So there was a bunch of people like Luke Harper that I got, and again, I didn't go to any of their shows, but I would watch them on our regional sports channel. So I got to see Gargano. I got to see Gregory Irons is a guy who.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah. So I got to see him wrestle, at least on TV. So there's a couple locals, and then I've got some friends who wrestle on the Michigan Indies, like Jacob Braun, Rick Cartier, Fat Tony Cartier may be training for a comeback. John Campbell with Imperial Wrestling, great. If you want to talk about great people in wrestling, he's a great dude in wrestling. Does everything he can to help out indie guys, coaching and training and helping booking people on shows, giving pointers. That guy, if there's anyone who has a good reputation from everyone I've ever talked to about him in the business, it's that guy. And it's a shame that he just hasn't had more notoriety, because he just is the real deal, and the wrestling needs more of that. So wanted to shout him out.
Couldn't agree more. And I guess another thing I wanted to say is before we do wrap up, obviously you host Break the Apocalypse, which is a great show. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you very much.
I said to John, it's one of the only shows that I've recently actually pressed the subscribe button on, because I usually just stick to the podcast that I stick with over the last few years. Don't usually bring on too much else. But I did subscribe to Break the Apocalypse, and
thank you. We appreciate it.
Rivers the other week said, listen to the latest podcast. And I was like, oh, okay, we'll do. So I put it on. Little shout out for Ringsiders. Made my day. I was so happy with that. I was like a little fangirl. Oh, they mentioned it.
It's every week they put you over every week. They mention a little group of podcasts and other shows that they enjoy, and they always kind of give Ringsiders a shout out. So it's really cool.
So cool, man. So much appreciated for that. But
speaking of shows.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Brian, I just wanted to ask you, are you still doing your horror show, Horror Reanimated?
No, what I ended up doing, it just got to be too hard, because I produce the show as well as co-host, so I'm recording and editing and trying to get everything out on the Patreon and on just the free the free feed. But just with all that, and with me taking on more responsibility and taking over my business that I'm doing on my legit job.
The day job.
Yeah, it's been so much. Plus having a family. What I did was I started putting more focus on whether this is right or wrong, the YouTube channel, which is now Halloween 365.
Right.
Because that's like my first passion is movies and making, editing videos and stuff. I just don't have a lot of time to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've tried to do is kind of fold everything into one. I'm unfortunately leaving the wrestling out for a while. So I'll focus on, every once in a while, like an unmade movie, or I just got a book, Taking Shape 2, which the guy goes into all the unmade Halloween films, which is amazing. So,
yeah, I want to get that. It looks great. Yeah.
It's really, I can't vouch for it enough. The first one's good. This one is really good. It's just a tougher read because it's more dense, but like that's more like what I'm doing on the side now. And I try to get one a week out. It's probably once a month. It's just a lot harder to do, but yeah, unfortunately I had to give up the other podcasts. It became too much. And to be honest with you, wrestling rebooking and fantasy booking, it takes a lot of time and energy, and it's not really always well received by the community. So
sure, yeah.
So
probably a lot of nitpickers and stuff.
Go on.
Yeah, and unfortunately I just kind of had to try to focus on what was working and what wasn't, and the Break the Apocalypse has been taking off, and I was starting to get some irony. I didn't tell my employer that I was doing a YouTube channel. So I had to pull all the videos down and then get permission and then put the videos back up. And it killed my algorithm because I took all the videos down that were doing well. So now I essentially have no views by YouTube, and it's been a tough haul to get it back up there, but we'll see what happens.
So the best place to find you right now is Break the Apocalypse.
Yes. Yeah. That's where most of my focus and my efforts going to right now. Yeah.
I've got to say, like, one of my favorite ever episodes of any kind of podcast or anything at all was the show you did on the Halloween 4 script. I forget the name of the woman who was on the show with you.
Oh, Anya Stanley at Bookish Window on Twitter. Yeah, she writes for Fangoria and a bunch of different outlets. Yeah. Yeah,
that was a fantastic show. The unused script, I think it was, wasn't it, for Halloween 4?
Yeah.
I've listened to that like numerous times. I just really love deep dive kind of reviews and stuff on scripts that have been unused.
Yeah, and I wanted to do a lot more. That's what the idea was for the podcast originally, but it just takes so long to like go through a script and highlight portions and then like make your notes. It ended up being just such a project I didn't have time to do that unfortunately it's gone by the wayside. But yeah, Anya's awesome. We found out that it was a second draft and that there was another draft that they were actually going with, and they talk about that in the book. But it was nice to kind of confirm that something I got offline was legit for once. So it was cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fun to do, and I'm glad you enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of that stuff. So
and more Break the Apocalypse. And speaking of Break the Apocalypse, tell everyone where they can find Break the Apocalypse and yourself on social media.
Well, you can find Break the Apocalypse anywhere you find podcasts. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/breaktheapp. $5 a month. We have basically every show we do every week. The normal show is about 3 hours long. And we split it up. You get the first half for free. You get the second half if you pay for the subscription at $5 a month. Plus, we do monthly Q&As, which we're getting so many questions. We're going to have to split up and do 2 a month now. And we did a bunch of extra episodes, I think, for 6 weeks, 1 episode a week leading up to the launch. So there's an extra 6 or 8 episodes in the back catalog as well. So as we keep gaining subscribers, and thank you guys for supporting us. You really mentioned us as far as shouting you guys out. We think you guys do a great job. We with the hustle and the work you guys are doing and the great stuff you're doing, we think you deserve more notoriety, and we wish you guys everything in the world. But yeah, you can reach us on Twitter at Break the App. You can reach us on Facebook at Break the App. We do have a Facebook page, not super active there, and you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Letterboxd at bshowbrian.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for the compliments. Really does mean a lot coming from yourself and John. It's been great to connect with you over the last few months. Big fans of what you're doing, and I think Break the Apocalypse is gonna do like I said, it's taking off right now. I think you guys are onto something with that podcast. It's a place where you can just talk about absolutely anything. It doesn't have to just be wrestling or anything else. It's a mixed bag of topics, and that's what I love about it.
Well, we appreciate that, man. We really do. And I can't thank John and Shaheen enough, because I've known John a while from listening to the show he used to be on, and I've known Shaheen lightly throughout the past couple of years. And I honestly was doing a show that wasn't really getting a whole lot of attention, too, actually, as Rivers mentioned. And for me, just through friendship with those guys, to be asked to be a part of this, and now shit's taking off. It's like this is the kind of show I wanted to do. But when you're doing it yourself and don't have any name or notoriety, it's really hard to get like a general discussion show.
Yeah, it's a grind.
Yeah.
Disheartening sometimes. You think, right, is it something I'm doing wrong? But it's not that. It's just like you said previously, having to beat the algorithm on wherever you're posting your videos, your podcasts. There's 100,000 other wrestling podcasts out there, or podcasts doing the same thing you're doing, and you've got to try and somehow beat them with what you're doing and your content. It's hard, man, but I'm so happy for you that it is taking off. You definitely deserve it. But yeah, Brian, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we'll get you on again in the future. We were saying to John about maybe doing a WrestleMania roundtable. So
like a prediction, yeah.
We'll get Jamie on as well, and we'll do like a WrestleMania prediction and review as well.
That would be awesome. Anytime you guys need a guest or something, just reach out. I'd love to be on. And hopefully we can have you guys. We haven't done any interviews yet, so maybe we'll have you guys on. And, well, at that round table, that might work. Just do a joint production.
Exactly, man. That'd be a joint production. That'd be sick.
Fantastic.
Ringsiders versus the Apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
If it makes you mad thinking of the stuff that I came up with for wrestling, just wait till the 5 or 6 of us get together. Holy shit.
Yeah. Gonna break my heart.
Yeah, Brian, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.